Unmute. Yes.
Good evening to all. Today I want to show you the basic of different imaging modalities. That means what are the basic imaging modalities available in the Agartala Government Medical College. I want to show these things also. First, I will discuss the few theoretical part and also show the few X-ray, CT and MR images also. So you can understand easily, I think. The list, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Raheli. Now the list of the diagnostic imaging modalities which are available in our department. Number one is plain X-ray, which is also subdivided into the conventional, digital and fluoroscopies. Ultrasound, CT scan, MRI, PET-CT, mammography, DSA, digital subtraction angiography, and DEXA. DEXA means dual energy X-ray absorptiometry. Now come to the X. How the X-ray is produced. There is a X-ray unit. This is X-ray tube, schematic diagram of the X-ray. Where there is a cathode and there is an anode made up of tungsten filament. Cathode is made up of tungsten filament. When there is a electrical impulse, high volt electrical current is passed into the filament, then there is a gush of electric beams fall over the target made up of tungsten, where there is a deceleration of the energy, which is converted into the useful X-ray beams. So the X-ray tube has the cathode terminal and anode terminal, and cathode is made up of this tungsten filament and which emits the thermoionic emission. And X-ray is produced by the electron beams when it strikes over the anode, which is also made up of tungsten. And X-ray are generated by interaction of the accelerated electrons and with the electrons of the tungsten beam. Now there is some properties of the X-ray. The wavelength of the X-ray is 0.1 degree Armstrong. It is an electromagnetic radiation and it follows the particle theory and behave both wave and particle theory. Radiation, when the radiation passes through the patient or the object, the useful beam passes through the object and there is also some scattered radiation. Speed of X-ray is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. Almost same to the light. It has the photographic effect. Now, when the X-ray passes through the body, it creates the image. So when the X-ray passes through the body to the film, render it black or dark image. And if the X-ray is totally blocked by the object, then the film renders the light. That means the white image. So that air of low atomic energy, which the image of the air is the dark, and metal is a high atomic number, and X-ray block and image is light or white. This is the example of, this is the metal where there is a high atomic number, where there is a image is white. This one is the fat, and this is the bone, this is the mineral, and this is the gas where there is a low atomic number, so the image is dark. These are the few images of the X-rays. This is the X-ray fluid showing small fracture at the base of the fifth metatarsus. This is the X-ray AP view of the lumbosacral spine, where you can see the bamboo spine-like appearance. There is ossification of the paravertebral ligaments around the vertebral bodies. So it is a case of ankylosing spondylosis. Now this is the chest X-ray showing a cavitary lesion in the right upper lobe and some patchy opacities in the left lower lobe. So it is a fibrocavitary lesion suggestive of COX. And this is also a chest X-ray where you can see there is an opacity at the apex of the right upper lobe. In the left side, there is a normal lung parenchyma. And there is also destruction of the upper first and second ring. So it is a case of malignant tumor of the lung, which is called as the Pancoast tumor. This is also the chest X-ray view showing the left-sided pleural effusion. And this X-ray showing the multiple cannonball opacities in both the lung fluids, which suggestive of secondaries in the lung. Now come to the contrast studies. In the contrast studies, we are doing the barium studies. This is mainly barium swallow study, which is mainly done to see the esophagus. Barium mainly to see the upper GI tract. And barium will follow through to see the jejunum and ileum, any lesions of the jejunum and ileum. And barium enema mainly to see the large gum. Now there is a X-ray showing irregular filling defect at the medial part of the esophagus with an shouldering effect, suggesting of CA esophagus. This is also barium mill stomach duodenum. This is barium mill study showing the stomach and duodenum, and there is a filling defect in the gastric antrum, suggestive of carcinoma of the stomach. This is the barium mill follow-through study showing cicatrization of the cecum with narrowing of the terminal ileum, suggestive of ileocecal pulse. In the last one is the barium enema study to see the large bowel. These are the hostel patterns of the large bowel, and this is the sigmoid colon, this is the descending colon, and this is the transverse and ascending colon. Now come to the other contrast studies. These are the common contrast studies which are usually, these investigations are done in the Department of Radiology. These are the IVU, intravenous urography, micturating cystourethrogram, fistulogram or sinogram, distal cologram, T-tube cholangiography, and hysterosalpingography. This is the picture of the IVU, where there is a bilateral excretion of the contrast through the both kidneys, and the left-sided pelvic calyceal system is dilated, and there is a filling defect at the lower third of the ureter, suggestive of a radiolucent calculus at the lower third of the ureter. This is the T-tube cholangiogram showing a meniscus sign or filling defect at the terminal end of the cavity, suggestive of residual stone at the common bile duct. There are other filling defects also seen in the left hepatic duct. This one is the right hepatic duct. This is the common bile duct. So there is a multiple residual stones after the surgery. This is the hysterosalpingography showing uterus. This one is the uterus. This is the fallopian tube, and this is right-sided fallopian tube, and this is the left-sided. Left-sided fallopian tube is dilated, and there is no passage of contrast into the pelvic cavity. So it is hydrosalpinx with left-sided tubal block. Now come to the ultrasound. This one is the ultrasound machine. This is the probe, ultrasound probe, convex probe, and these are the few endocavity probes. Now come to the basic principle. What is the ultrasonography? What is the definition of ultrasound? Ultrasound is basically a sound wave beyond the hearing range. What is the hearing range? That means that 20,000 hertz is the hearing range. Beyond this hearing range, this is called the ultrasound, which is first discovered in 1940 by the George Ledick. He applied first in the human body for the medical purposes. And the first commercial handheld compound B-mode scan is discovered in 1963. Now, what are the parts of the ultrasound machine? There is the three parts. Transducer, which is made up of piezoelectric crystal, and another one is the monitor, and another one is the computer. This is the monitor. There is a transducer, and this one is the CPU. Now, what are the modes of ultrasound? There are four modes of ultrasound. A mode, which scan through the body with the echo, which is mainly A mode ultrasonography is mainly used to image the orbit, pathology of the orbit. And B mode ultrasound is most commonly used in whole of the body and to view as a 2D images. M mode ultrasound is the motion mode, utilized mainly to visualize the heart pathology. And the Doppler mode is used for visualizing the blood flow of the arteries and the veins. Now come to the basic principle of ultrasonography. When the electric impulse hits over the piezoelectric crystals, there is a change of polarity of the crystals, resulting in vibration of the crystals. And these vibration of the crystals will emit the sound wave. This sound wave propagates into the different tissue planes of the body, and it reflects back into the transducer. This receives signals from the transducer processed by the CPU and display as a 2D monitor in the monitor as a 2D images. This is the most common basic principle of ultrasonography. So this is the ultrasonography. And what is the Doppler ultrasound? Doppler ultrasound is mainly, this is the transducer, this is the blood vessels, this passed into the blood vessel to measure the flow of the blood. And what are the applications of the ultrasounds? There are two types of applications. One is the therapeutic application, one is the diagnostic application. Therapeutic applications are used mainly tumor ablation by the high intensity focused ultrasound beam, and dental cleaning and cataract operation and breakup of the stones and physiotherapy. These are common therapeutic applications of the ultrasound. Some diagnostic ultrasounds are also there. Abdominal and obstetrical sonography, neck sonography, breast sonography, orbital sonography, endocrinial, neonatal sonography of the brain, testis, scrotum, muscle, and echocardiography for imaging of the heart. Now I want to show few ultrasound images. This is the ultrasound image showing gallbladder, lumen of the gallbladder, from where hyperechoic areas seen within the lumen with distal acoustic shadings. That means there is a gallbladder stone. This is the image of the kidney. This one is the cortex. This one is the medulla. There is a hyperechoic shadow with distal shadings. That means there is a renal stone. This is the dilated CVD where there is a few hyperechoic shadowings, and this is called the choledochal cyst. This one is the image of the pancreas. This one is the head of the pancreas. This is body. This one is the tail of the pancreas. This one is the aorta. This is IVC, and this is the superior mesenteric vein. This is the image of the aorta. This is the lumen of the aorta. This is the false lumen. This is due to the aortic aneurysm. This is the image of the ovary, in which you can see multiple small cystic lesions arranged peripherally in the ovary, suggestive of polycystic disease, ovarian disease. Now, few images of the obstetrical sonography. This is the fetal head. We'll measure the biparietal diameter and also head circumference. This is the image of the fetus. This is the image of the heart. This one is the dome of the diaphragm. This is the spine. This one is the cervix, bladder, and this is the vaginal portion. And this is also the image of the pregnant lady. This is the placenta insertion, and this is internal cervical os. This is the image of the pregnant woman showing the twin pregnancy. This is the obstetrical Doppler. You can see the fetal head within this Doppler vessel, circle of Willis, and the middle cerebral line. This is the image of the liver, where there is, you can see the hepatic veins. Now come to the newer applications of the ultrasonography. This is the 3D ultrasonography, 4D ultrasonography, contrast enhanced ultrasonography, endoscopic ultrasonography, and ultrasound guided different interventional technique and elastography. These are the few images of the 3D ultrasonography. This is the normal 3D image of the fetus, face of the fetus, and this is also 3D ultrasonography of the face of the fetus showing the cleft lip. This is the 2D image of the fetus intrauterine. This is the hand. This is the lip, lower lip. Now come to the risks and side effects of ultrasonography. In fact, there is no side effect. WHO technical report series of 875 in 1978 supports that ultrasound is a harmless. So there is no side effect of the ultrasonography examination. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of ultrasonography? Is easily and widely available imaging modality. It is available in the primary health care level also. Everywhere you will get the ultrasonography machine, and bedside sonography for the critically ill patients is possible. There is no ionizing radiation. So, by ultrasonography, there is no radiation hazard. And cost of this investigation is very low. and no long-term side effect. And one of the major advantages is that we can select the different imaging planes of for the diagnosis of the disease. That means we can take the cross-sectional image, we can take sagittal image, we can take oblique image, we can take coronal image of the abdominal organs. Rarely causes discomfort to the patient. So now come to the disadvantages of ultrasound. One of the major disadvantages that it could not penetrate the bones. So for the bones, sonography is not possible. And another one is that if there is a gash in between the transducer and the organ of the interest, then we could not see properly the targeted organ. So these two are the major disadvantages of ultrasonography. And another one is it is operator dependent. Skill of the operator depends upon the skill of the operator. Now come to the computed tomography. Computed tomography is also CAT scan, computed axial tomography. It is discovered by Godfrey Hounsfield in 1972. And this machine has four important parts. One is the gantry. The gantry consists of X-ray tube and detector assembly. And number two, CPU, computer processing unit. Number three, monitor and output device, that means the camera. Now, what is the basic principle of CT scan? When the collimated beam, this is the collimated beam, when passes through the object, it falls over the detector. This part is, this one, this is the X-ray tube, this is the detector inside the gantry. So when the collimated beam passes through the patient body, which is partially absorbed by the patient, and the attenuated photons fall over the detector. When the X-ray photon strikes the detector, there is a scintillation, which is quantified and recorded digitally within from the detector to the CPU, which process the signals, scintillation signals, and recorded digitally. These represented as an analog form and display as a 2D images in the monitor. This is the basic principle of ultrasound, a CT scan. Now, what are the diagnostic use of the CT scan? That means for the head, brain injury, cerebrovascular accident, malformation of the skull, inflammatory condition of the brain, aneurysm and vascular malformation, and CT-guided stereotactic biopsy. These are the indications where we will advise for the CT scan. Now for the chest, we will detect the acute and chronic inflammatory conditions of the lung, assessment of the mediastinum and parenchymal diseases of the lung, and CT angiography of the pulmonary vessels. These are the conditions where we can go for CT scan. Cardiac CT, coronary angiography can be possible. Abdominal and pelvic to diagnose pathology of the abdominal diseases. We can prescribe for abdominal and pelvic CT. The CT of the extremities to image the complex fractures and musculoskeletal tumors of the extremities. Now come to the advantage and disadvantage of the CT scan. Advantage, wide field of view, comparatively more information is obtained. And number two, detection of the subtle difference between the body tissue, like fat, like blood, like fluid, like solid structure, calcification, calculus, can be detected easily by the CT scan. And ability to provide cross-sectional images of the body. One of the major disadvantages is that it is a radiation hazard, and it is also costly and needs contrast media to enhance the soft tissue. So these three are the disadvantages of the CT scan. Now come to the radiation. How much radiation you will get from the CT scan? As for example, suppose for the CT X-ray chest, you will get the 10 milliram of the radiation dose for one chest X-ray. For the one CT scan chest, you will get 580 milliram. So you can understand one chest CT is equivalent to 500 chest X-rays. So much radiation you will get after doing one CT scan of the chest. So before going for the CT scan of the chest, you must have to think twice whether it is absolutely necessary for the patient, benefit of the patients or not. Some of the newer applications of the CT scan. 3D image reconstruction, CT-guided interventional techniques like FNAC, biopsy, CT angiography. These are the newer applications of the CT scan. Now I want to show few images of the CT scan. This one is the CT scan of the brain, showing a hypodense area at the frontal region with mass effect. And this is the MRI image showing a hyper intense focal lesion in the similar location. This is the CT scan of the brain showing a hypodense, ill-defined area at the frontotemporal region, which is obviously seen after a few days when we'll do the scan of the same patient. We will see the hypodense area, more hypodense area at the frontotemporal region with mass effect. Here you cannot see the mass effect, but after a few days you can see the right lateral ventricle is not visible, and also there is a shifting of the falx cerebral towards the opposite side. Now, these are the few CT scan images at different level. In these, you can see hyperdense areas along the subarachnoid spaces. This is the subarachnoid space. This is the subarachnoid region. So, hyperdense areas along the Sylvian fissures, falx cerebri, suggest along the sulci gyri, sulci of the cerebral hemisphere. These are the suggestive of subarachnoid hemorrhage. This is also another case showing the acute subarachnoid hemorrhage. Another one is the eccentric shaped hyperdense area or sickle-shaped hyperdense area seen in the left parietal lobe with mass effect. That means the left lateral ventricle we could not see. We can only see the right lateral ventricle. There is a deviation of the falx cerebri. So this is a case of acute subdural hematoma at the left parietal region. This is the CT scan images of the liver showing a hypodense area suggestive of liver abscess. The CT scan of the heart, this one is the great vessels. This is the ascending aorta, this is descending aorta, this is the pulmonary artery, right pulmonary artery, left pulmonary artery, this one is the left. Within this, there is a filling defect, suggestive of pulmonary embolism. This is the chest X-ray of the patient showing a mass at the apical region of the right lung. The CT scanning was done, and at the same level, there is a mass. You can see properly with destruction of the ribs. You can see the ribs on the left side, and there is a destruction of the rib on the right side. These are the few reconstructed 3D images of the mandible. There is a fracture in the mandible showing fracture. And this is the reconstructed, 3D reconstructed image of the skull showing a depressed fracture. These are the images of the 3D reconstruction. These are the axial images of the brain, abdomen, thorax, and these are the reconstructed 3D images. Now come to the MRI. MRI means the magnetic resonance imaging, which is invented by the Paul Lutterwehr and Peter Mansfield, who got the Nobel Prize in 2003. Now come to the basic principle of the MRI. It's rather complicated. In the human body, there is a hydrogen. Hydrogen atoms are arranged randomly in our body, in the human body. When the body is placed within the strong magnetic field, then the hydrogen atoms are aligned along the magnetic field of the strong magnet. Suppose this is a strong magnet, MRI machine. This one is the magnet. These are the layer of the gradient coils. These are the layer of the radio frequency coil. This is the human body, which is placed inside the strong magnet. So, when it is placed within when the patient body is placed within the strong magnet, the hydrogen nucleus, this is the proton within the water molecule of the body are partially aligned along the magnetic field of the MRI machine. The nuclei can be rotated using the radio wave, and they subsequently oscillate in the magnetic field while returning to the equilibrium. Simultaneously, they emit the radio signal, which is detected by the coils, gradient coils, and display as images within the MR machine. So, this is the basic principle of MRI images. So, how the MRI images is formed? The magnetic field of the gradients was the signal from the different parts of the body and to the different frequencies. The signal collected with the gradient coils and processed by the computer to produce the image. When the body is placed within the deep magnetic field, the high power magnetic field, like 1.5 Tesla or 3 Tesla, the hydrogen atoms of the body are aligned along the magnetic field of the larger magnet. When radio frequency, with the help of the radio frequency coil, when the radio frequency pulse is applied over the human body, there is signal is produced, which is picked up by the gradient coils, these gradient coils, and transferred to the CPU or computer processing unit and display as a 2D images. These are the, in nutshell, basic principle of MRI. Now come to the advantage and disadvantage of MRI. Advantage, it is a non-ionic radiation. There is no radiation hazard. The contrast is contrast between the tissue is determined by the pulse sequences and can produce the sectional as well as the projection images. Disadvantage, it is a slow and expensive. It is not available everywhere. So it is a very expensive investigation. What are the contraindications of it? Where there is a cardiac pacemaker in the human body, where is a metal aneurysmal clip, insulin pumps, orthopedics and cochlear implants, metallic foreign bodies, and are contraindicated to do the MRI. And if the patient is claustrophobic, then it is also contraindicated to go for MRI. Now, third one is the first trimestral pregnancy is also, these are the absolute contraindication. This is the first trimester of pregnancy is a relative contraindication of the examination. Now I want to show the few images of the MRI. These are the basic images T1, T2, and P2. T1 is the hypointense areas. There is a hyperintense area in T2, and this is the intermediate signal intensity in the PD, proton density. And this is the acute cerebral infarction in the T2 images where there is a edema, water is there. So this area is hyperintense. This is intermediate intensity. So this is the few images of the applications of the modern applications of the MRI, where there is diffusion and perfection sequences shown. In the CT images, where you can see the chronic subdural, which is better evaluated by the MRI. This is the few nodal lesions in the brain parenchyma, suggestive of brain metastasis. This is the image of the spine where there is a protrusion of the discs resulting in compression, extradural compression of the thecal sac. And this is the another image, MR images of the spine showing compression fracture of the vertebral body, resulting in compression of the spinal cord. Now come to the mammography. This is the mammography machine and how mammography can be done. And this is a mammography image showing benign lesion, the well-defined dense opacity within the breast parenchyma, suggestive of fibroadenoma. These are the few mammography images. This is the mammography image. This is the corresponding sonography images. This is the mammography image. This is the corresponding sonography. This is the dense opacity with speculated margin, and suggestive of CA breast, carcinoma of the breast. This is the another dense, well-defined opacity, well-defined uveal opacity by ultrasound also, suggestive of fibroadenoma of the breast. This is the malignant lesion, this is the benign lesion. So these are the mammography images. for imaging of the breast. Then come to the DSA, digital subtraction angio. What is this? There is a form mainly used for imaging of the blood vessels. These are the vessels of the brain. This is the internal carotid artery, middle cerebral artery, and the frontal anterior cerebral artery. These contrast is given inside the vessels, and these contrast filled vessels are the images of the contrast filled vessels are subtracted from the overlying brains, overlying bones, and underlying soft tissue bones, etc. by digital. This is called the digital subtraction angiography, which is mainly used for visualization of the blood vessels. So DSA is primarily used for images of the blood vessels to visualize the coronary carotid artery stenosis, pulmonary embolisms, and acute limb ischemia. To visualize renal artery stenosis and renal artery venous malformations. This is the digital DSA images where you can see the aneurysm of the middle cerebral artery. This is also big tumor where this is also big tumor in different angulations. Now come to the DEXA. DEXA is also available in our institution, which is called the dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, which is mainly used for measuring the bone mineral density for diagnosis and follow-up of the osteoporosis. These are the, in nutshell, all the investigations with basic principles from the X-ray, ultrasonography, CT scan, MRI, DSA, mammography, and also DEXA. So now it is clear what is the, if in the exam, this short note will come as an ultrasonography. You can write easily what is the definition of the ultrasound, what is the basic principle of the ultrasound, what is the applications of the ultrasound, what is the advantage, disadvantage of the ultrasound, what is the risks and side effect of the ultrasound, and what are the newer applications of that. So if it is come in the exam, you can easily, I think you can easily write down what is the definition, history, applications, basic principle, and disadvantage and advantage of the ultrasound. Like CT, also you can write down the history of ultrasound, CT scan. What is the CT scan? Definition of the CT scan. What is CT scan? What is the basic principle of CT scan? What are the parts of the CT scan machine? How the images is produced? What is the diagnostic of CT scan? Advantages and disadvantages of the CT scan, radiation hazards of CT scan, and newer applications of the CT scan. MR will not come for the undergraduate level, and you must know about the mammography, you must know about the DEXA. So, any question? Then, if there is no question, then I can end the session here.